How are you doing? How's your experience so far with being home, working from home?
Yeah, it's been great so far. Obviously, it was a tough transition at the beginning, and just mostly in terms of it being abrupt. But the technology transition has been smooth, um, both from the perspective of the students, who I think are naturally a little more inclined to some of the technology, as well as the support we got from the university uh, in terms of the technologies available to us to make remote learning work.
Tom, could you just elaborate a little bit more on working with us specifically? We heard you had a nice experience working with Max Glider and migrating your large person activity to an online format.
Yeah, Steve, absolutely. So going back to even last term, I had started working with the Teaching Center as an early adopter of Canvas. So I was excited about working with Canvas in the spring term, and it absolutely lived up to the billing. It was a seamless transition for my students, as well as a much better mobile experience, which was something that was important to me in terms of developing the course. Now, of course, all that had taken place before we knew there would be a shift to remote instruction. But once we did shift over, Canvas was really what underpinned all of that. Traditionally, at the end of the term, I teach the MBA Management Simulation Capstone course. It's a required course for all MBA students. And we run an in-person event where we bring in all the students as well as a large cohort of alumni judges, if you will, that come in and volunteer to hear the students' pitches, rate them according to the rubric, and then we name the winners in a sort of a fun, high energy final event for the term. When we found out we had to pivot to online, the first thing I did was get in touch with our director of MBA programs, Laura Oknevsky, and our EBL program manager, Bill McShane, and get them on a call with myself and Max Glider from the Teaching Center to brainstorm about how we could move this online. From a technology point of view, we recognized right away with Max's guidance that Canvas was going to enable what we wanted to do. And then Max helped steer us between the choice of Panopto or Zoom for the video recordings. We went through pros and cons of each. Max was able to show some examples in a course he teaches, and we made the decision to go with Zoom because it met our needs. At that point, then, the final decision we had to make was synchronous versus asynchronous. That was sort of a big pivot from what we'd done in person, but we'd made the decision that running it as an asynchronous event would be an easier experience for the students, more manageable for the volunteers, and would take better advantage of the third tool that we brought into the mix, which was Qualtrics, as the way to capture the survey results. So that set us up for the event that eventually ran over a 4-day period at the end of the term.
Nice. That sounds like the asynchronous choice was the right choice for you. So moving forward, if we have to continue doing remote teaching, is there anything that you can see that you're going to be working with the classroom services any further, or any other needs that you think you need?
Yeah, Steve, absolutely. So a couple experiences that I've taken away from this term are that, I think while sometimes there's a perception that remote or distance learning is somewhat of a diminished experience relative to in-person, I'm a big believer that disruption creates opportunity. And I think some of the things that I learned through this experience are actually going to make this a stronger activity going forward. There are going to be some uses of technology that we're going to carry forward, regardless of whether we go back to in-person. And I'll absolutely continue to engage with classroom services. One idea I have for future terms that I'm looking to explore further is the possibility of taking some of the asynchronous content I've developed for the course and moving it into a podcast format, where I would actually syndicate the content rather than have it be standalone videos that students go out to find. So that's one example, but I absolutely see the partnership between the business school and the teaching center continuing.
Great. It's good to hear that you want to keep podcasting through all of this. I'm sure that'll make Max happy as well.
Right on.
Well, is there anything else that you'd like to say or get across?
But just to give you a sense of the scale of the activity that we ran at the end, we had close to 65 total people involved. So approximately 35 students and 25 volunteers. So the scale of the event was non-trivial. And I think if we were able to make that transition, I would definitely encourage faculty and give them the confidence that by partnering with the teaching center that they can make that kind of transition as well.